They don't have to be like elaborate or super expensive. I can remember times when Tina and I literally, our date night was, we packed up like leftovers, in a little cooler bag.
Yeah.
And we went out and just had a picnic somewhere.
Huh.
And maybe we had enough money for some wine or something. I don't even, you know what I mean? It was just,
Sure.
but it was just that it was special. We went away, we looked out over, Puget Sound or something.
Yeah.
And we just sat, there was no money really. There was no money. I can remember times, this will date life now, driving like 45 minutes to the only Starbucks that was anywhere near us. And our date night was like sitting there and having the most expensive coffee we'd ever had in our life. It was like $2.10 back then or something.
Yeah, right.
And it was like a $5 date night. And it was like, man, look how continental are we here? Like how European are we having our little, mochas and stuff. But it was our date night. You know what I mean?
That's a
and we
cool
had the drive
concept.
there, then we had the drive back. And so it was 3 or 4 hours. And someone watched the kids for us in the neighborhood or whatever.
Welcome to the Everyday Disciple podcast, where you'll learn how to live with greater intentionality and an integrated faith that naturally fits into every area of life. In other words, discipleship as a lifestyle. This is the stuff your parents, pastors, and seminary professors probably forgot to tell you. And now, here's your host, Caesar Kalinowski. Hey, bro.
How are you today, man?
Good. This is,
Still having fun with this.
yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like we're in a rhythm, and this is fun, and there's content still. So today we're talking about marriage.
Marriage and dating
Yeah,
in your marriage. Like, I never saw my folks do that.
neither did I. And
They didn't like each other, my parents, but no, that's not true. They didn't act like they did. Let's say that a lot of the time. I love the heck out of them, and they got there, but wow. Anyway, I didn't see them dating each other, like there was none of that. So.
Sure. No, and that's something I want my kids to see with me and my wife. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that marriage is really hard work, right? It takes a lot to keep the romance alive.
Yeah.
And love doesn't just happen, right?
It doesn't, like in a movie.
Yeah. It's not Hollywood.
Yeah.
There are choices that we have to make. And
Yep.
and today we want to talk about the importance of having these consistent date nights. And I'm sure that in your life, you've experienced this with even you and Tina, right?
Yep. 43 years this summer of marriage, man. It's crazy, right?
That is-
People are like, how old is this Caesar guy?
That's longer than I've been alive.
We got married when we were 8. So, like our listeners know, because it's a weird little thing. We lived out in the woods.
It's a Polish thing.
It's a weird Polish thing. No, we've been married a long, long time, and like you said, marriage is work. I mean, it's work. I mean, it's better all the time by God's grace, but it is definitely work. And this idea of dating, is an important thing. Let's dive into that, man. Let's
And
get
so
after it.
because we try to keep our podcast around 25 minutes, like we had said in the past, we want people to give us their drive. That's how long it takes the average commuter to get to work in the morning. Let's jump in. We
Give
don't
us
have
your
a ton of time.
drive, or your gym time. Yeah,
Yeah,
here
your
we go.
gym time.
Here we go. It'll be worth your gym time.
So I know that you and Tina, throughout your marriage, have had regular scheduled date nights. We've talked about it, and it's been an advice that you've given to both me and Kathleen as well. And you've said, even off microphone, that this has been crucial in keeping the fires of your marriage burning. Let's talk about this a little bit.
Caveat right away, okay?
Yep.
So to be fair, because Tina will, listen to the podcast, so will my kids, is I don't want to say like, we've had them every week for 43 years. It's been amazing. It's perfect. It's not that way. So first half of our marriage, we didn't even know about these kinds of things. We're raising the kids, we're flipping out. A lot of our listeners are just buried. You got 4 kids. It's like,
We're in the thick of life.
yeah, it's just like, whoo, date night. What? Like, got to pay the bills, or whatever. Just want to go to bed, or whatever.
Sure.
But as we got introduced to these kind of ideas and we started to invest in that and make it a regular thing, it changed a lot. And so it hasn't been perfect. And I'll be honest with you here. Check this out. So now that our kids are grown, 2 things. One is they're starting to have date nights, like really consistently. Whew,
That's
like
cool.
it worked. We're going to talk a little bit about why that's one of the bonuses, right? Benefits of it.
Sure.
But Tina and I slipped into this fallacy. Oh, well, now that the kids are gone, we've got every day and every night together. So that kind of is like every night's a date night.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's not.
Yep.
Because there's not the intentionality. Some of the things we're going to talk about here of like, love on each other.
Yeah.
Getting dressed up a little bit, like coming up with something creative to do. Or, you know what I mean? It's
Sure.
like, and so like now we're back to doing it. In fact, as we're recording this, Tina and I have date night tonight. It's great. Right?
That's cool.
And it was just because like, hey, you know what? In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be on the road teaching a lot and they'll be together the whole time. It's not the same intentionality and ability to sort of, gospel each other's hearts and do any of that. So I would say it has been a very important thing of staying connected at a heart level right?
Yeah, one of the things that I remember reading a while back was the concept of 3 different types of marriage, which was like the side by side, the face to face, and then the business model. Kind of like there's the intimate. So the side by side is like we're just plowing through life. We don't really care. We're out of love. We're just going for it.
Yeah,
The
getting stuff done, raising the kids, whatever, paying the bills. Yeah.
Yeah. And now the business model of marriage is, hey, we have the same sort of goals. We want our kids to, go to school and get good grades and get good jobs and have families.
Make us look good.
Yeah, but there's no intimacy.
Yeah.
And then the intimate side of things is like, no, we're face to face. We're going through the thick of this. We're taking hits together. We're winning together.
Tina and I have been all 3 of those.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, this week we've been all 3 of those.
I was going to say, I feel like me and my wife bounce around quite a bit.
I love that breakdown. Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the things we want to talk about is how easy it is to fall out of that face to face intimate, like we're in this together, into more of a problem solving mode of marriage. Like schedules are packed. We got to get here. We got to have dinner ready. Kids need to be in bed. We got to wash their clothes for school tomorrow. Moving from task to task, getting things accomplished, that's kind of the default.
So we spent years that way, man, especially when the kids were little. Like we were just, I'm working, I've been an entrepreneur and or in ministry or both, because all of life is kind of ministry and it's all work. It's all family, right? And we've just been busy people and choose to be and, travel a lot and for ministry and work and all that. And I can remember getting into like long seasons of years where it was just task. It was like, okay, 5 days a week, this is exactly what it looks like, because school drives that, school schedule drives it. It's like the first person out the door, first person on the bus, whatever, lunch is getting packed, this and that, got a breakfast, got to pray a little bit, because that's what good Christian parents do. It's like everything was like task, right? And then it was work. And then it was, okay, homework. And then it was get to bed. And so what we found is that the task of life and parenting sort of took over our marriage. Like we were married, we have a marriage, but the relationship came about getting all that stuff done.
Yeah.
Right. So then when we'd say, hey, we should spend some time together. Kids are going to bed. Let's get the kids watch Thursday night. Let's go out, or let's go, let's just be home. And then we'd go like, oh man, we got about 11 things that are broken or past due to get paid, or like problems to solve. And all we would do is, in our quote time, was problem solve. So you're like, hey, that was fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now back to task. So then we go another like week or 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever. And then we're like, hey, we really need some time together as a couple. And we would just problem solve. So,
we've had seasons of that too. Of like our date nights ended up being running to Costco to get diapers. And it's like, no way, we can't. That's not a date night. That's
right. I mean, that's just being a couple. That's just help, right? You get to.
Nothing special about it.
And I'm not big on bifurcating everything. I think all of life is all of life. But what we're advocating for today, these date nights, is a real special time. It's an intentional time set aside that's not a problem-solving time.
Yep.
Now, that doesn't mean that you might not say, hey, we're going to get into deep conversations and get after our heart a little bit, which means maybe some sore spots will come up or some forgiveness needs to be given or whatever.
Sure.
But that's different problem solving in a sense. I'm not saying turn your date nights into big, heavy counseling sessions every week, or whatever. But I would say that don't make your date nights times when you're going like, we really got to refinance the house, or like, like the gutter's leaking like crazy, or like the car's banging again. How are we ever going to afford a car? It's like, just leave that and make it about you guys. Make it about what you're loving, what you're needing. Like, what's God saying to you right now, honey? Like, what is just in life in general, what's been fun what's the worst, play high-low game if you have to. Like, what's the best part of your week? What's the worst part of your week?
Yeah, it reminds me of what Jay Payleitner said back in episode 104 when we were talking about children, which was a great episode. And if you haven't heard that, jump in on it, on how to enter into your kid's life. But one of the things he said in his big takeaway was, make your kids glad that you're in their life. And that's what this date night is as well, right? Is going like, we can go do Costco and errands, but this is the night to refocus.
I really look forward to being together and having a time that's just about us, and it's not trying to fix the world or fix our kids or fix the house or anything.
We're celebrating that. That's right. Glad you're in our life. Right. Yeah, that's something that we've been trying to work on, but it's really hard. And
let me give some practicals.
Yeah,
right?
please do.
Let's just jump in on some practicals here for like kind of working on upping our date night game. All right. Okay. So first thing I want to say is put a regular time in your calendar. Like, if you don't have a shared calendar as a couple, I would suggest it. A lot of people have Gmail, so that means you get a calendar with it. Or even if you don't, just open up a fake Gmail account that you never use, but get the calendar.
Yep.
And
We
share
use
it with each
iCal.
other.
It's great.
Or
Pop it in
iCal,
and-
whatever. I mean, there's a million other apps too. You can just get an app and have a shared calendar though that kind of keeps track of stuff. And if for nothing else, schedule that date night. I tell people like, hey, did you have any conversations this week, like at work with people, or did you have any meetings that you had to remember to go to? Yeah. How did you remember? Well, I was in my calendar, so a little thing went off,
Yeah.
Or how did you possibly fit that in? Well, it's been on there for a week, so I know it's coming. Or every week we have staff meetings. So I'm like, how did you possibly remember to pay your phone bill? Well, it comes up every month, and I put it in the calendar. You pay the bills on the third, whatever. Yeah, right. So I'm saying, hey, at least value your marriage and this date night as much as those kinds of things. Put it in your calendar.
Yep.
Put it in your calendar. I believe it or not, this is sort of tangential. I have it every day, every morning at 9:30. I get a little alarm that goes off. PFT. Pray for Tina. That's what it means. People are like, dude, you wouldn't remember to pray for your wife if you didn't. You know what? A lot of times I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I go like, is there anything more important for me than my marriage, my wife? Like in relationships? No, there's not. So I got all kinds of stuff in my calendar. A million things a week. Seven of those things to remember to pray for my wife. So anyway, first thing is put it in your calendar. Keep it sacred. Like just let everybody know. Like let everybody know. In our communities, when we're really on a roll, the whole community knew. Like, hey, can you do that Wednesday? Oh, you can. That's when you guys have a date night. You know what I mean? And we tried to do it in a night that wasn't like, now we miss a whole ton of community stuff.
Sure.
Like if you know your community, like you're in a mission community or something, or like there's a time when your community serves, and it's always like at this time, don't make your date night that time.
Yeah. Find an alternate.
Right. And by the way, date night can just be date time. Like you might choose to do it breakfast because it works better.
Sure.
I know couples that do that. They go, oh, and our favorite thing is, the kids go off to school, and on Fridays, man, we go out and have a crazy long brunch. And we see a movie, and then we come home, and it's time for some couple time.
Yeah, and we did that with some friends too. That we shared kids swapping, and we'd go out from 6 to 8 at night, and then we do the reversal, and they'd go out from 8 to 10.
That's coming. That's one of my big tips. So anyway, first one though, right? Just keep it sacred. Calendar that thing. Make it as important as at least everything else. Secondly, take turns planning out your date night.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, I want to advocate, like to the husbands listening. Like lead well, right? Lead. If you have to start this is new. Take the lead in it, guys. Like bless your wife by leading and protecting your marriage well. But as this gets going, take turns like planning it so it doesn't become a hassle or just like rote thing. Like, well, we always do this. And we go, right? Take turns planning it and try to surprise each other a little bit. I'm not saying it has to be expensive or weird or whatever. And that's like the third tip I'd say is they don't have to be elaborate. But if you take it on and it's like, hey, it's date night, honey. What are we doing tonight? What'd you plan out? It's like, oh, you're gonna love it. We're doing this. And then we're going to go here. And then at the end of it, we're actually going to run into so-and-so. And we're going to have, go out for a drink or something afterwards. Like you plan the night. Next week, you don't know what's going on. She's planning it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It just kind of keeps it fun and less of a burden. And they don't have to be like elaborate or super expensive. I can remember times when Tina and I literally, our date night was, we packed up like leftovers, in a little cooler bag.
Yeah.
And we went out and just had a picnic somewhere.
Huh.
And maybe we had enough money for some wine or something. I don't even, you know what I mean? It was just,
Sure.
But it was just that it was special. We went away. We looked out over, Puget Sound or something.
Yeah.
And we just sat. There was no money really. It was no money. I can remember times. This will date life now. Driving like 45 minutes to the only Starbucks that was anywhere near us, and our date night was like sitting there and having the most expensive coffee we'd ever had in our life. It was like $2.10 back then or something.
Yeah, right.
And it was like a $5 date night, and it was like, man, look how continental are we here? Like how European are we having our little mochas and stuff? But it was our date night. You know what I mean?
That's a
and we
cool
had the drive
concept.
there, then we had the drive back, and so it was 3 or 4 hours. And someone watched the kids for us in the neighborhood or whatever. But you know, what I mean?
you get conversation, right? Like
That's the goal.
It's not like running to a movie and you just stare at a screen for 2 hours. The drive to Starbucks, you have the coffee.
So we like movies a lot, and in fact, I think Tina mentioned maybe we'd see a movie tonight, like as part of our date night. And I was like, we won't do, you think about it, you can't talk in a movie.
Yeah.
Well, you're not supposed to. I do. My kids holler at me about that, but I'm not I'm usually talking about the movie. I'm not talking about marriage stuff. Anyway, so I would say be careful with going to a movie a date night all the time. I'm not saying never do it, but
Sure.
Right, okay. Fourth, and you already kind of tipped your hand on this, swap out babysitting with other couples. Some people say, we can barely afford a date night, a cheap one. But if I have to add on 3 hours of babysitting at whatever people pay their babysitters,
It's expensive these days.
it's super expensive, right? And it always felt expensive, just, proportionally it was always like,
Yeah.
But now it's really expensive. It's like minimum wage or
They're
above.
charging for child now.
Yeah, right. And so, hey, like swap that out. Get a little collective going. I know people have done that. It's like, you know what? We give 3 date nights a month because one of the weeks of the month, that's our night, and we take all the kids.
Oh, yeah.
But then the other 3, someone else is taking them all. So that's how it works right now because we got a bunch of kids and we can't afford it, you know? And so work that out however you want. I'm not going to get too much into that. 5th tip, and we kind of already hit on this, is don't talk about work stuff or only problems and negative things.
Yeah.
That's, I was going to underscore that one even though we've already said it. If you had a movie, you can't talk, but if you're out, you can talk. So talk, right? Don't make it a problem-solving time, but do go after hard stuff.
Yeah.
But don't try to fix, if you got a rough spot in your marriage, you know what I mean? Or like there's something, like you might bring it up and try to seek to understand the thing behind the thing or another person's heart a little bit. But remember, keep it up. Make sure that this is a positive thing. I love date night.
Yeah.
Right. And if you determine in that, like, we're not getting past this, we might need to get a little counseling help or get another couple involved to help us work through it. Great. Keep that date night sacred, fun, close. Right.
That's important, man. I know I've been guilty of that where there's seasons of just massive life decisions or really struggling with trying to discipline our kids. And so then every date night became about like, well, how are we going to fix this? And for my wife, it was like date nights are no longer something to look forward to. They're just like,
they're not like
crap,
life-giving.
They're not at all. It's more of a like, I'd rather not have these because we're going to go super deep. So
if we have to keep going after that stuff, could we just skip it? I'd just rather stay home.
It's easier to stay
catch
home.
up on Jane the Virgin or something.
And one of the things that you had mentioned, keeping things consistent on the calendar, you've said that when you have a consistent date night on your calendar, you are also modeling that to your kids, that this is important. This is keeping mom and dad's marriage together, and it's something that you want your kids to expect from their
and
spouses.
others in the community.
That's
a
a good point.
lot of folks that were like drafted behind Tina and I, trying to figure out how to have a marriage. And ours has certainly not been perfect, but God's given us a lot of grace, and our desire is to pass that on. One of the things a lot of them have picked up, including our kids, is, wow, you guys are serious about this.
Yeah.
So they've seen, like I said, it hasn't been perfect, okay, by no stretch, but they've seen certainly long seasons where it's like, no, that's what Tina and Caesar do. And you know what? They're 10, they're 20, they're 30 plus years now of this. And they're saying that's a part of it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we should model that, honey. And so we know a lot of people that do date nights now. And we talked about why. And our kids saw it,
Yeah.
Our kids have always seen us do this. They've always seen us kiss and hug and all that kind of stuff. And I'll tell you, it brings me such great joy now when our kids go on date nights. And now it's starting to tip over, like, hey, can you watch Patton? Right? Yeah, absolutely, we'll watch him. What's up? Well, we got date night tonight. And we've already done that. He's just a few weeks old. But there's like, they didn't want to break the cycle. And you can think, well, like, yeah, but it's a baby. You want to stay home. It's like, we want to have a great marriage so that we can raise a great kid, and give them all that God intends. So anyway, it's really important. And you can talk about like, well, your marriage is your most important thing. It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
You guys, you're side by side, or you're like in business partnership. But I don't see you guys ever having time alone. I don't see you ever kissing or being affectionate or any of that. But no, when they see you kind of getting dressed up and like, yeah, you got flowers, or mom was really excited because you planned it this week and it was great, or dad was all stoked, and the daughter's like, I can't wait till I get to plan a date night for my husband someday. It's all good.
Well, it
news.
also sets up.
It's all good news.
A mentor of mine had said a while back, like, a consistency in that regard also sets up expectations for your kids of what to expect when they're being romanced in marriage. Because it's like, hey, I know how dad took care of mom, and that's the way I want to be treated. And so I'm not going to mess around with.
And I just want to tie the gospel back into this, okay? Because there is good news in this.
Sure.
We have a father, right, who the Bible says foreknew us. Like before we ever were knit together, before we were ever on this planet, like millions and billions of people before us. But he knew us. And in knowing us and our needs, he sent a son to rescue us so that we could have the life he always dreamed of. When we're sort of planning to bless others like that, knowing in advance, our little kids are watching, they're going to have marriage someday, that's all sort of good news. That's all sort of a reflection of Dad's heart for us. It really is.
It's a pursuit,
And think about it. We have a father who sent a son to take a bride. The church is called the bride, So when we're intentional about our marriages, that's a big thing. That is a really big thing. And next week, just kind of tip my hand a little bit. Next week, we're going to talk about like my reading list and how I get there.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm going to like give our listeners is I annually try to plan in, hey, what am I going to read or learn about marriage to kind of pump the thing again?
That's cool.
Many years, like I'm going to read a lot of books this year, but we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, but we're not just going to leave people here today. We actually have something for them this week, which is the big three.
Great.
And that's something that we do every week that we just want people to have a takeaway, something that they can latch onto right now.
Boil it down to the big three.
And if you're driving or at the gym, or maybe you're setting up your shared calendar for your spouse and you got other stuff going on and you can't write this down right now, you can get this for free at everydaydisciple.com/big three. Caesar, what's the big three for this week?
Okay, so here's the big three. 1, love's a choice, and romance doesn't just happen like in the movies and then magically stay that way. Sometimes you can kind of fall in love like in the movies, but marriage and love and romance is a choice. So just like all fires need to be rekindled and stoked and fed, right? So does your marriage. And this is one of the most important things, is stoking your marriage, being intentional about it, that you can bring intentionality to in your whole life. It really is. It's not one to just hope it happens. Let's hope we stay close for the rest of our life. Let's hope our kids somehow, that's love's a choice. Be intentional, okay? 2, your marriage is the best picture of the gospel that God's given you. Or it can be.
Yeah.
Okay? What I mean by this, like how we submit one to another, okay? How we serve one another, how we love, how we sacrifice our preferences and our, quote, rights in this relationship can all be a really beautiful picture of Jesus and how he's laid his life down for others. I mean, I believe with all my heart, Heath, that's why God's given us marriage and kids and families, is that when we do that, when we live this way of laying our lives down for them, it's like a picture of the gospel. And people, who does that? Well, we do because Jesus has done it for us, right?
Yeah.
We get to. So working on our marriage not only affects us, right, as a couple, but it affects our kids and our friends who are watching and learning as we model this life in Christ. And we've had people who are not yet believers go, the way you and Tina are and the way you speak to each other and the way you raise your kids, it's so different than anything my wife and I have ever seen. And I know you're Christians. Is that part of it? Is that what you guys learn at church? Or, it's like, it's your marriage can be the biggest picture of the gospel that you'll ever have.
Great, man.
Okay. And then the third big three, this one's a question. Okay. So the first two are a little bit of like kind of advice.
Okay.
Number 3 is a question. Do you currently have a marriage worth imitating? Like, could other couples or soon-to-be couples hang out with you and your wife or husband and really learn what a godly marriage looks like in all areas?
That's what we're fighting for, right?
It is. Like, if you'd say, like, no, right now our marriage would not be worth imitating. Well, let me just say this then. Date nights are a perfect start or a restart to intentionally starting to work on the things in your marriage, we all have them, that could improve and become a better picture of grace in the gospel. So you're not going to fix everything in your marriage right away, but maybe date nights, that first intentionality, you're throwing in, some intention in your marriage, I'd say start there. Right?
Yeah, that's great. And one of the things that I love is that we always, with these big three, they're just something that we could latch onto tonight. I mean, we can send a text to a friend right now going, hey, I need to get a date night in the next week. Can we swap some schedules? And this is something we can do right now.
Yeah. You encourage a friend in that, like you said, doing swaps, and now there's some accountability. Love it.
That's great. Well, our time's up, unfortunately, but we don't want you to not be able to get these big three. So again, if you want a copy, it's a free download of this week's big three takeaways. You can get them by visiting everydaydisciple.com/big three. And again, we'll get those to you immediately. And we really hope you're enjoying this podcast. We're having a really great time.
We're having a blast with it.
Putting it together.
I feel like I learn every week.
I learn a ton. And one of the things you could do to help us out is if you're really into what we're doing and loving the content that we're producing, we just ask you to do 3 things. 1, would you go to iTunes and subscribe to this podcast? That way, it's immediately available as soon as we release a new one, which are weekly. It'll pop up on your phone. You'll be subscribed, ready to go.
Boom.
If you rate the show, we love lots of stars. That's super helpful for us. And then writing up a short review for us, that gives us feedback that we're hitting topics that you guys are interested in listening to, as well as gives us metrics that Apple looks at that says, hey, we want to get this podcast out to more people, which
people are digging it. So
if you do that, that would be super helpful.
And share this. Like, if you heard this podcast today and you're like, that's really good stuff, my sister and her husband need to hear that, or people at our church need to hear that, we'd just share it out. We'd love that.
Thanks for joining us today. For more information on this show and to get loads of free discipleship resources, visit everydaydisciple.com. And remember, you really can live with the spiritual freedom and relational peace that Jesus promised every day.